Marla Meyer, a 1988 graduate of Hills-Beaver Creek, grew up on a farm near Beaver Creek and was highly active during her time at HBC. She participated in annual staff, student council, band, basketball, volleyball, and the National Honor Society. She served as the school president in her senior year and achieved the distinction of being salutatorian of her class. After graduating from high school, Marla spent the next 4 years in Mankato at Minnesota State University. She graduated in 1992 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Marketing and Management. She also holds a Master's of Business Administration in Marketing from the Craig School of Business at California State University. Early in her career, Marla worked for Coca-Cola in sales, marketing, and general management roles for 6 years. In 1998, she left Coca-Cola and started working for PepsiCo, working there for over 14 years. While at PepsiCo, she mostly lived in California and worked her way up the ladder through positions including Vice President General Manager, Vice President Sales Support, and Vice President of Marketing. Currently, Marla works as the Chief Executive Officer of Girl Scouts Dakota Horizons, which includes all of North Dakota, South Dakota, 13 counties in Minnesota, including Rock County, and 1 county in Iowa. In her free time, Marla is often found taking in the activities of her 2 children, 15-year-old twins Max and Maddie. From Maddie's soccer games to Max's Special Olympic basketball to musicals, chorus, Girl Scout events and drumline performances, and taekwondo and golf tournaments, she proudly watches them. Marla enjoys being an active community member, serving as the board member of Rock Ranch and the Sioux Falls Department Foundation, as well as on the personal committee at her church. Marla and her family live in Brandon. Please join us in welcoming Marla Meyer back to Hills-Beaver Creek as the guest speaker for our National Blue Ribbon Series Alumni Talks.
Like big brands and a can of punch. Okay, so here we go. It is so good to be here. What a great welcome. My friends here are a part of some of the big brands that I had the privilege of working on throughout my career. So working on big brands is fun and a lot of hard work. You guys hear me okay? So with that, there's going to be a theme here, and every good marketing person has prizes. So there's a theme. So when I ask the question, guess where I learned to appreciate whatever it is, the answer is HBC. So guess what I learned to appreciate hard work? Okay, you guys might get surprises. We will see how this goes. So I spent my childhood on a farm outside of Beaver Creek and really close to Manly. Do you know where Manly is? Yeah, anybody speed past Manly ever? Anyway, by Manly, yeah, I knew that answer. By Manly, and now I live in Brandon. So how many guesses how many miles it is from Manly to Brandon? 8. So spot on, 8 miles. You'd think that was an easy trip, but I didn't exactly go that way. So I started my career, spent my childhood there, went to Mankato State, started my career in Mankato. Now, if you pay close attention, you may get some geography credits for this. So I started in Mankato. I moved all the way to Fairmont. I moved back to Mankato. Well, here's where it gets interesting. I then moved to Nashville, Tennessee. I was with Coca-Cola at the time. Moved to Nashville. Got an opportunity to move to Martinsville, Virginia. So think east, although it was actually deep south. I didn't know that at the time. And then all that time was with Coke, and then PepsiCo came calling. They only made that move once. They're really, really competitive, but it was a good opportunity. So I headed out to California, to Vice Lake, California. Then I moved to Fresno, California. Again, geography lesson if you're keeping up. Fresno, and from there, all the way back across the country, lived in Connecticut, worked in New York. And then I was willing to go anywhere for my next job. I'm like, well, where do you want to put me? Back to California. So I went back to California, and from there, I went to Toronto. They asked me to move to Canada, and you'd think being from Minnesota, I knew exactly where Toronto was, but I had to get on the map. So Toronto was a great experience. Moved back to Denver, Colorado, Chicago, and finally made my way to Brandon. That is not the most direct route from Manly to Brandon, but a lot of miles, a lot more than 8 miles. But I really, really had great opportunities while I was doing that. So I spent my childhood on this farm, and really, really attribute much of where I am from some of the lessons I learned there. Some of the things, some of you probably either live on a farm, help on a farm, or do many other things around here. And one thing you really learn is how to problem solve. You're finding solutions all the time. And so besides hard work, you're finding solutions, and I think that was a big part of some things that fueled a pretty wild career. So big brands. I love working with big brands. You got Coke, Pepsi. I worked for Sears. I might be like, is it a big brand? But I'll bet there is a Sears product that is in 80% of either your houses, garages, or sheds. That brand is, I gotta guess, Craftsman. Yeah. So that's a big brand. And now I work for Girl Scouts. I feel like, I don't know, is that a big brand? Big brand, and what's even bigger is this thing that's been for sale for the last few weeks, the Girl Scout cookie brand, which I do have the privilege of working on that nationally also. When you think about all the cookies that are sold in the United States over a year, the Girl Scout cookie brand is in the top 5, and they're only sold for a few weeks. So pretty big brand, fun to be a part of. And so when I think about it, I really had to consider, why do I like big brands so much? And I think what it is pretty competitive. And I'm pretty competitive. I like healthy competition. And guess where I really learned to like healthy competition? HBC. All right, you're working on it. You're getting there. You're going to get these prizes. I learned that at HBC. So back in the 1900s, when I went to Hills-Beaver Creek, specifically in 1988, there was a pretty good girls basketball team. So are there any girls, I know you can track these, are there any girls from this year's girls basketball team here? Hands? All right, I really do need hands because I got to take a look. Yeah, I love my 1988 basketball team, but I think you would have taken us. I'm pretty sure you would have. But yeah, I learned a healthy competition. And where I learned that, I had the privilege of playing on the team where the coach was Coach Wurtzma. That's Coach Steve Wurtzma, for those of you that are wondering. And learned a tremendous amount. One maybe funny thing I would say that I learned is to anticipate things, both on and off the court. So when we really didn't have very good hands and had a lot of turnovers, what I could anticipate was in homeroom the next day, we would get handed, I don't know how you came up with this, I feel it was like a track baton with a rope and a weight. And we just got to roll that baby up and down, apparently because we had too many turnovers. I'm guessing that's why we got rolling. So I could anticipate in homeroom that I would get to roll that up and down. Which helped me when I then went to Mankato State. I was a student assistant on the women's basketball team. And I could anticipate when we didn't rebound what I should bring to practice. It was that big old bubble that you put on the top, because there was nobody going to get a basket that night. There was only rebounding. So anticipating that, and I learned a healthy dose of being competitive and healthy competition right here. So hard work, competition, very good traits to pick up, and then I would say a willingness to contribute. Which again, where do you think I picked that up? HBC. So part of the magic of going to a school like HBC is there's a lot of activities to participate in. There's also this sense of you got to be willing to participate. Sometimes you just got to be willing to participate so your school can happen, right? Like there's certain things that you need to be willing to participate in, play whatever role it is on that team or that group or wherever it is. I just went around and saw your lockers, and you guys participated in a lot of things. So really, really, really impressive and a lot of cool things. So willingness to participate, and that really led to in my career being able to just jump in. And one of the lessons on that I would say is I was graduating from Mankato State, just wanted to have a job because I was paying for my school, I had some loans, needed to get going. And Coca-Cola was on campus, and they were hiring 2 people and I was number 3. So I was not going to get hired. One of my friends got the job offer, and they're hiring for this job. It was called Reset Coordinator, where you went into stores, took all the products off the shelf, you tried to get some space or move some space or whatever it is they told you you were going to do, and then you put it all back on. So graduating from college, it was not the most glamorous job maybe to get. So my friend was like, I am not doing that. And in my mind I was like, I like big brands, I hope they ask me. And they did. So I went and I was a reset coordinator for all of 6 weeks. And they promoted me into a sales job. So sometimes it is willingness to contribute. Totally understood now what they were doing. Willingness to contribute, and then you get moved up and your hard work pays off. So had that going, it was really fun. Did a lot of things when I was working for Co. What we think of is when you work for big brands, this is what we want folks like you guys to be thinking of. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of grinding it out, getting the products where they need to go, and winning to be the people that get to serve whatever that beverage is, either at the school or at Cowboy Stadium, and those were all customers of mine that I got to work with along the way. So willingness to contribute was about building my experience. So I was able to build my experience. I had a mentor early on that helped me with think about my career in a different way. So maybe this will help to think about it. It wasn't always like, I want this exact job. It was more along the lines of this. When people ask me about my career, well, I want to be a top performer in the job I'm in today. So you always kind of got to do the right things in the job you're in today. And then in the future, I'd like greater levels of challenge and increased responsibility. So not saying that I had to have X job. What that did is it gave me a lot of flexibility. I was willing to move, and so it helped me make all those moves. So some of those moves, I would say, I was this marketing person. I like brands, but I kind of was like, well, I'm going to have to do a sales job to get into marketing. And by the time I did some sales jobs, I was like, oh, I kind of like sales jobs, because it turns out, here's the secret to being a really good salesperson. You have to listen and follow up. That's pretty much, Dan's a good salesperson. Dan, is it anything more than that? Yeah, that's really it. Have some integrity, listen, follow up, and you're also a pretty good salesperson. So, went from doing that to finally getting a shot in marketing. There is a specific activity or specific thing I got to activate in Tennessee in 1996. So it combined a few of the things that I love: sports and big brands. So in Atlanta, Georgia, in 1996 were the Olympics. And so I got to, basically my job description was activate the Olympics. So that was in stores, that was getting people out for the torch relay as the torch went by, things like that. So I had a real appreciation, having been that person that reset shelves and having relied on people that built displays and did the deliveries. I had a real appreciation for the frontline folks in every organization. And I read somewhere along the way that treat your teams like they're volunteers. And there's some irony in that, because if you treat them like volunteers, it's just like appreciate them and make sure they understand why they're there and what they're there for. Now I lead an organization where we serve about 8,000 Girl Scouts. I have about 50 team members, so we're heavily reliant on volunteers. So now it's interesting that we serve our mission by being heavily reliant on volunteers. So, activated the Olympics, had some fun with that. I got my first general manager job in Martinsville, Virginia. Pepsi came calling, so I went and spent 14 years at PepsiCo. Not to give you my whole resume, the last 3 jobs were bigger jobs. I was a vice president general manager in California, so I oversaw 4 locations, about 400 employees, on about $125 million business. Had the opportunity to do that when I was like in my 30s. They were crazy giving me that much responsibility, but it was fun, and I learned a lot along the way. From there, I went to Canada, and I was a couple years in Canada, and I oversaw the whole country for their service packages. So think about how many, this is the stuff that people don't know. I could never walk in a grocery store without looking at all of this stuff, but like, who's merchandising the shelves, how many times you're sending out, who's making the deliveries. My team figured that out every day for about 60,000 outlets across Canada. So got some experience there. So if you like figuring out problems, I would say supply chain is in your future. So think about that. And then I got to come back to the U.S. and live in Denver, and I was vice president of marketing for the Western U.S. There are some fun customers when you oversee the Western U.S. So got to tour Cowboy Stadium as it was being built. Now, even if you're a Vikings fan, like getting to tour Cowboy Stadium when it's being built is pretty fun. Did some things with, obviously, the Pepsi Center, which is now a Ball Arena in Denver. Did some things in LA. So I guess what I'm saying is, I was from this class of 28 kids in Hills, Minnesota, Hills-Beaver Creek, and got all these opportunities to go all over. So it's really not a lot more than what I talked about. It's the listening, it's the follow-up, it's the willingness to contribute. A little bit of competitiveness does occur. And being willing to take on those different things. I'm very fortunate. Some people like to just take trips and tour the country. I just moved there. So I got to move a lot of places. My family would come visit me, so my parents are here today. It was fun to have them visit. I got to be a tourist whenever they came. And then we got to do some fun things. You saw some of it on there. I was able to take my dad to a Super Bowl. So that was really fun. I was able to take my mom to the Country Music Awards. There's a lot of customer entertainment, and it actually was work, but it was also fun as well. So I've had the privilege to go to the Grammys, the Golden Globes, a lot of different things like that by working on these big brands and doing that hard work, grinding it out behind the scenes. So even my kids who are here, Max and Maddie, when we lived in Denver, I don't even know if they remember, but they sat courtside at a Nuggets game one time, but they're probably like, why can't we do that now? So anyway, so a lot of things that hard work came from. So none of that is, that's just sharing with you. None of that is to brag. I'm just saying that the foundation you get from this community enables you to do whatever it is you want. So if you do those things, you really can do whatever it is. It was fun. My family members got to be my +1. I also learned along the way that I really like contributing to organizations through building teams and developing people, and developing those teams. So what a great honor it is to be the CEO for Girl Scouts, and that's what we do, is we build leadership skills in girls with a premier leadership program for girls. So my big brands kind of all came together in that. I would attribute, if I haven't already, picking up a lot of that at HBC. I have great friends, some of them are here. I have a wonderful family. I've been very blessed. And I would say that, well, I've had some great titles. I have a great title now. Another great title is mom. So that's a pretty cool one, and that's been a fun part of what I do as well. So Mr. Kelleher did say, what would young Marla, what would she really want to say at the end of this? And so early on in my career, I remember it was first job sitting in a conference room. I had no business speaking up at this table because I was kind of a punk, right? I was really early in my career, but I had an idea. And I just remember this mentor of mine who was my boss at the time just came behind me and she's like, get in there. And so I would just tell you, get in there. That's all you need to do, just get in there. And this isn't my saying either, but you kind of just have to think about it as like, what's the best that can happen? So that's my story, and thank you to HBC. So if you guys have any questions? Not back to rows. You guys don't have to ask. Just kidding.
Where was your favorite place to stay at?
His question was, where is my favorite place to live? I had some good ones. So the cities were fun. Nashville was fun. Denver was. But I have to tell you, the Central Valley of California is a lot like here. It's a high agriculture base. So the team members that I got to work with had really strong work ethic. I got to do a lot with Fresno State, which is a really fun football school. I actually got my master's from there as well. So I would say those areas were really, really fun.
job did you enjoy the most?
What job did I enjoy the most? That's like picking between Max and Maddie. Which job did I enjoy the most? You know, I really, early on, my first, I would say, general manager role, even though I was in Martinsville, Virginia, and it was kind of wild. It was deep south. I had to learn to talk about NASCAR a lot, and but it was a really cool job where I got to just try some things and make some mistakes and build a good team there. And then, I mean, the vice president of marketing for the Western U.S. just came with a lot of fun customers and things to experience. And then the one I'm in today, leading the Girl Scouts, is pretty awesome. My favorite Girl Scout cookie is the small. So, is that your guess? Yeah, it's a good cookie. So, here's the thing, a little bit on Girl Scout cookies, and I don't want to hold you up from lunch too much, but I'm the co-chair, I'm the CEO here, but I'm the co-chair for the National Steering Committee for the cookie program. The cookie program is about $1 billion program. Girl Scouts sell a lot of cookies. We also need new cookies sometimes. So, the Adventureful, which is in our lineup now, I got to help create and be on that one from start to finish. There's a new one that I cannot tell you, but it will be announced in the fall. And there's a brand new cookie, and I got to help with that one as well. So if you were a s'mores fan, that's going away. That one is gone, but this new one will be good. Oh, again, which one do I like better, Coke or Pepsi? It's like choosing. I tell, here's what I would answer. I spent a lot of time, I got probably a bigger part of my career at Pepsi, but I really learned some great fundamentals working there. Drink-wise, I always try to tell people I try to drink proportionately to the time I worked there, so I like Coke Zero and Diet Mountain Dew are my two things. Sorry for all the people that I worked at either company that don't hear that. Go ahead.
When did you start working at Girl Scouts and like why?
When did I start working at Girl Scouts and why? That's a really good question. So I decided when I was in Chicago working for Sears that I really wanted to bring my family back to this area and have them grow up here and get to experience some of the same things and be around family. So in October, I will have been leading Girl Scouts for 10 years. But how I decided to work there, I had a whole bunch of, when I came back, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was having coffee with Mr. LaRock a lot and figuring it out. And someone finally said, hey, the Girl Scouts is hiring a CEO at the leadership program. We've had a lot of experience in the corporate world. Well, why don't you check it out? And it's been a really, really good fit. So I became a Girl Scout that week. And at the time, my daughter Maddie was in kindergarten. So I've gotten to be the CEO and a Girl Scout mom for the last 10 years. Great. You guys are good at this. Okay. Did I ever hang out with you? I did not get to hang out with Michael Jordan. I did meet Jeff Gordon, but I did not get to hang out with Michael Jordan. That would have been epic, but I did not get to. Who did I miss? I missed somebody over here? Go ahead. How much money? Were you the one that asked that the last time? I was prepared for that question actually. How much money do I make? Well, here's the thing: is I for a long time I was in the corporate world, and so I was, it was something where it was like, do you share your salary? Don't you share your salary? Sometimes when you share it, someone, your peers might be mad. But what I make now is actually, I'm going to give you a little assignment back. I now work for a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, so my salary is public information. So next time I see you, if I'm here, you can come ask me again, but I'm going to give you the assignment to go look it up. Go ahead. What's my day-to-day life like as a CEO? It's really funny because sometimes, when Mr. Calvert can attest, they'll be like, hey, what's the best day of the week for you to do this? I'm like, I don't know. I've never had the same day twice in 10 years. We have a pretty flexible work environment. So we try to have people in the office at least 3 days a week. But like yesterday, I was in the office, but I had a meeting somewhere else in Sioux Falls with a community partner, and then I had a donor meeting, and then I went to the office for a little bit, and then I had to get to another appointment. So, I'm there primarily to support my team, so they can support their team so we can deliver the mission of Girl Scouts. So I am there to do kind of whatever they need me, but provide some leadership. And so it's a combination of local meetings, national meetings, doing sometimes some travel around North and South Dakota. So great question. I was just in Rapid City last week. I'll be in North Dakota coming up. Favorite teacher from high school? I mean, which ones are in the room? I have to say I do have a favorite in the room who is here. So Mr. Mercer is one of them. I kind of go by, we have really good teachers at Hills-Beaver Creek, so it is hard to pick. But I have memories from several of them. A couple that I have memories from are Mr. Jackson was one, with a lot of memories there. I was just telling some folks that when you do word problems, you have to put what it is at the end of it, right? Am I right? So if you say the answer is 10, whatever. And if you didn't do that in Mr. Jackson's class, he would say, what is it, tacos? He would bring up tacos all the time. So now my team sometimes, they'll tell me like, well, it's 15. I'm like, 15 what, tacos? So that, Mrs. Langrock, they're such good teachers. Eberts, I can't pick. I just can't answer that question. Go ahead. My least favorite what? Colleague? Colleague? My least favorite colleague. Okay. This is also going to be viral. So here's the thing I would tell you, and Maddie, should I tell my lesson? So sometimes when you're in a group or you're on a team or whatever it is, 90% of the people you work with are awesome. There's always going to be like 10% that maybe have a question mark and 5% you might not actually like. So that's just life. So sometimes even when you're on a team, you're all a good team, but you're like, ultimately, I'm not so sure about this person, so I'm not going to name names. But I have had some people that I've really had to take some breaths before when I'm having a conversation. So, but I'm pretty easygoing, so I try to work it out. Is this going to be a tough one? Yeah.
Who's your favorite child?
Yeah. Who's my favorite child? My favorite son is Max, my favorite daughter is Meyer. She forgot what she was going to ask. My favorite subject in school? Honestly, it was math. I really did enjoy math. I'm not saying I even did great in it all the time, but I enjoyed math. But thank you so much. You guys are really good on the questions. Oh, one other thing. Because you answered the questions so well, and you know these 3 letters, HBC, the last week of school, you think they answered it pretty well? Are you happy with it? Okay. Mr. Delaware says yes. The last week of school, one of the days when you're departing, you will all get a box of Girl Scout cookies.
Minutes, right?
It's going to be a variety.
Yeah, all right, awesome. Hey, just one last question. Just because I'm a father, I have 2 daughters, female. A lot of 100 females out there. What would be one of your messages for our females, our girls out there, just in terms of leadership? Your daughter Maddie's out there. What would be something that you can just tell them, just to inspire them, just as females and being future leaders?
So what I would say is it goes back to that original advice, which is just get in there. So don't hesitate, just get in there. And if you are in a situation and you look around and you're like, oh gosh, you might be in a situation, I was at times where there weren't that many women there, or I was the only one. So there weren't that many, especially in the soccer industry. But honestly, it did come down to that, me for that. So I would tell you, if you make it, to me, it was always all about personalities and really about not much more than that. So if you just think of everyone as like, what's this personality like? What's this personality? Made it a lot easier for me. So get in there, don't hesitate, keep raising your hand.
So, can you, maybe Marla, Love the message of just competitiveness. And we do have a really competitive group of kids. I think our seniors and juniors just epitomize that. Basically that connection piece of being part of that team, that collaboration piece, and just the communication follow-up. So appreciate that. We have a small gift for you. We do have the National Blue Ribbon shirt. Hasn't been worn yet. And there you go. And we do have, thank you, Marla. We do have a saying around here: once a patriot, always a patriot. So I hope you can wear that with pride. Awesome. So students, we're going to dismiss our junior high lunch first. So if you're 6th, 7th, 8th,